YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, gonna be doing some Empire versus Dwarves online battle. This is gonna be Karl Franz versus Ungrim Ironfist, and some of you have been wanting me to bring artillery. I'm hesitant to do so, and the Dwarves are one of the few factions that I probably will bring artillery against from time to time, and it's because they have no cavalry or flying creatures to threaten it. So I do feel like using artillery versus the Dwarves could work to my favor. I didn't know exactly what kind of Dwarven army to expect. I brought a couple of great swords to help hold up the center. These guys are really good against armor. They're really expensive, though, is the downside. And then I've got 4 more units of just standard swordsmen, which won't win against a lot of dwarf units, but they'll do okay. I've got 4 crossbows to help chew up any dwarves. Basically, that's just in case I get forced to flee from the infantry fight. I have missiles to kite with, and then more importantly, one of the most important units in the army for me here is these Outriders. And the reason I say that is because the Outriders are going to have armor-piercing missiles, and this is going to make them very effective against dwarves. And they can't be caught by any dwarven infantry. As long as you keep them free of quarrelers and thunderers, you're safe. And my opponent has gone for a dwarf rush army, which honestly is a little bit of an irony in and of itself because dwarves are so slow. He's going to push up. He has 2 units of Slayers, a couple of units of Hammers, and his Slayers are really not needing to be used in this manner. They don't have the best protection against missiles. They have some protection from their axes. They actually use them to block missiles, but you see, between the rocket barrage and the crossbows, these guys are going to get seriously jacked up. And I'm going to bring my great swords to meet them, and this is going to effectively make his Slayers not that great. My great swords really are better against armor, so I don't know if I really should have used my great swords against his Slayers, but they are his toughest unit, and I need to deal with them. Now, what my opponent has done is he's brought a ton of these miners with blasting charges, hoping to just throw them in and blast my men apart. He's got a couple of several Iron Drake units as well, which are anti-infantry flamethrowers, and I'm going to attack one of them with Karl Franz there from the flank. And then my Empire Captains on the other flank. I brought the Empire Captain because I knew I'd be up against a melee lord from the Dwarves, and magic was going to be probably less than useful. So I'm going to pop into these Iron Drakes and keep them from firing. Get into melee with him with Karl Franz, but he's going to send Ungrim Ironfist over here, and that's not good for me. Karl Franz really doesn't want to be in a fight with Ironfist, and I'm going to end up paying a bit of a price for that. But yeah, you can see my crossbows are just wrecking these miners with blasting charges. He's got his hammerers in reserve. Over here, his hammerers, though, are cleaning up my swordsmen with little problem. But I'm obviously gunning for the late game, literally gunning, because I've got my Outriders around his flank, and there's going to be little, if anything, he can do about this. These guys are armor-piercing, and they're faster than all the dwarves. Look at the blasting charges he's just hurling into the fight. He's hitting a lot of his own men. He does have a decent angle right there, though. So, I mean, it's definitely doing some damage to my men. And if I didn't have so many skirmishers, his blasting charge little expedition here would probably be enough to finish me off. But he's in bad shape. And you can see his Iron Drakes are getting shot by lots of crossbows right now, so they're going to drop eventually as well. So a lot of carnage on the battlefield right now. But yeah, you can see my Outriders cleaning up a lot of kills. This one more so than the other for some reason. Maybe it's because that one was firing at hammers and the other one was firing at, yeah, just miners. My great swords hold out for a long time in the center. This one only gets 12 kills, which is definitely not impressive. But this one does well. But they've held out a long time, which is definitely going to make them worthwhile here for me. I'm ready to fall back with my crossbows. I went ahead and abandoned my artillery, hoping that I could retake it later. I got Karl Franz in here against Ungrim Ironfist, but I'm doing this wrong. Ungrim is an infantry unit, and he can get knocked back by the cavalry, so rather than staying in combat, all I should do is charge with Karl Franz, knock him over, come out, and charge again, and just repeat, and you can easily destroy Ungrim with Karl Franz in that manner. But instead, I let Karl Franz get routed, so now I'm in a really dangerous position. I do have these Outriders, and I have a ton of crossbows, but I'm getting overrun by the Dwarven infantry, and my micromanagement is going to have to take place. Now, this unit's just on skirmish, and that's why they're getting chased by the hammerers into the Longbeards. I'm sorry, I have a lot of allergies going on today too, so forgive me for that. But yeah, got a few swordsmen out here. My Outriders just pouring fire point blank into the Longbeards. It's going to be pretty effective. I've got my rocket men alive. They're not going to be useful for much, but if I don't lose them, at least it won't work against me in the power bar, which I am concerned about. Karl Franz will come back from routing here briefly, and my Empire Captain is still alive, if only just. I'm trying to remember exactly where I have him at. There's Franz over here. Yeah, he's back from routing. There's my Empire Captain. He just routed in the midst of all these hammers. He'll come back later on too, but now I've got to play a kiting battle. And so what I'm going to try and do is get as many of my crossbows free. You tell me how dwarves are catching crossbows. I'd like to know the answer to that. If he's got speed buffs or something like that, I have no idea how his dwarves keeps catching my crossbows on foot, but somehow they are. Let's take a look at the speed on my guys. Speed is 33 and it's 27, so I have no idea how the long... Maybe it's the charge animation or something that's helping them catch up. They get the boost of speed from a charge. And then Ungrim is over here chasing swordsmen as well. Now Ungrim I expect to be a little bit faster, and he's at 32 speed versus the 31 of my swordsmen. So over here my Empire Captain gets soaked by a bunch of Iron Drakes, so that was a mistake. And I've got my other units that I'm trying to pull back in from after having routed. I've got crossbowmen routing, some swordsmen who are coming back from routing. And then my Outriders are trying to finish off that Longbeard, but I just quit because the Longbeard, again, even though its speed is less, it was able to catch my crossbows somehow. I'm not really sure how that works. And right here I make a mistake and get my Outriders caught in combat momentarily, but obviously I'm not going to let that fly. So I just get away from that situation real fast. My Outriders still have a decent amount of ammo, enough to cause a lot of damage. And my crossbows have plenty of ammo, it's just that they keep getting caught by enemy infantry. Karl Franz is just going to stand here safe on the hill and rest. And I'm shooting a few of these hammerers while also trying to flee from them. You can see I'm doing some pretty good damage here versus the hammerers. Managed to get away from the Iron Drake's blast right there. So, and then this Iron Drake is chasing my Empire Captain, which I don't really think was a smart move for them. No, get off that unit. Just trying to get off of that unit. Empire Captain, please. There we go. I sent my Empire Captain through the flames and into the Iron Drakes because I figured he could beat these guys if he got into melee combat with them, and I'm using some of his buffs here. So yeah, you can see he's tossing them around something fierce, which is exactly what I wanted. So those guys are about to go down entirely. That Barded Warhorse looks so cool, by the way. Let's watch the Empire Captain finish this Iron Drake off. Look, he's trying to go in melee or something. I don't know. My guy's circling around for charge. There we go. Boom! So, awesome, awesome action. Now over here, his Iron Drakes are getting shots on me, which is that's not good. Obviously, I'm going to have to pull back from that. But I'm also getting some brutal shots, point blank into his Longbeards and hammers. And it's causing a severe amount of damage to the dwarves, and it's keeping the balance of power in my favor, and also keeping these Hellstorm rocket batteries alive. You can see me kind of working them back towards the actual rockets. I'm hoping to remount those rockets and start firing, and that'll force the dwarves back towards the center of the map and give me a chance to collect all my routing units. So that's really what I'm aiming at right now. Yeah, you can see these hammerers are in really bad shape. And the Outriders actually have pretty decent range here, 135 range. It's not bad at all. They can't fire in a 360 arc like Pistoliers, but these guys are armor-piercing, and Pistoliers are not. Pistoliers would be more appropriate for an army like the Vampires, where you're not expecting to see a lot of armored units, and they would be good at, say, like, distracting Vargeist and other stuff like that. If they could get enough shots in on a Vargeist, it would do a lot of damage, but... Yeah, you can see that these dwarves are having to run back towards the rocket battery because he knows what I'm up to. So he's going back to try and make sure I don't get that, but I have some crossbows that were up on the hill. They're firing down into here. I've got a few swordsmen trying to take out these last few miners that he has. His miners don't have an attack order. They're actually just chasing my crossbows. But they finally get caught up in combat. And I think my swordsman will probably best his miners. Let's check that out. And if you think this battle's over yet, then you're wrong. This battle's actually still going to be much closer than you think. And it's already pretty close. I still got to kill Ungrim Ironfist. And he's not going to go down near as easy as some of the other units. Actually, those miners bested my swordsman there. Dwarf units are pretty decent when it comes to infantry. Obviously, that's their strength. I still have Karl Franz, and I still have my Empire Captain. Now these broken units, I send my Empire Captain in to clean up so that they can't come back. I'm trying to shatter them because I can't afford to have his units coming back into combat. So this is very unfortunate for the Dwarf player because this could have made a huge difference, and instead my Empire Captain's roving in and out of that group, causing horrendous damage to them. But some of these Longbeards came back, so I had to flee away, and I'm going to start peppering the Longbeards with my crossbows. They are shielded, and I'm firing into their shielded side, but we're still going to get some work done. They're not going to have like a 100% block chance. Ungrim Ironfist was out here chasing crossbows, and these miners are out there chasing swordsmen as well. My rocket batteries just remounted, and that's going to get the attention of these Longbeards, and that's exactly what I want, because now my crossbows are going to be shooting them in the flank. And my Outriders are kind of just up on the hill biding their time for the late game because they're not needed right now. So I'm just keeping them back at a safe distance. And again, you can see my rockets are luring in these Longbeards. They got smacked with the rocket right there. So this is good because now my opponent's going to have to try and keep me away from these rockets, and that's going to expose his rear to missile attacks. So the Dwarfs are getting kind of a Battle of Carré type feel here from the Empire. The Dwarves really do have excellent infantry, and if you're going to play a team battle where you can get an Empire or Bretonnian player to guard your flanks with cavalry, Dwarf infantry is really quite good. Other than Chaos infantry, it's top notch. And I say that because I don't know how it works out like per cost, because Chaos warriors are fantastic, but you get a lot of infantry even on just a Dwarf warrior, and it's pretty cheap. And you can get Dwarf warriors with great weapons, Longbeards with great weapons. You can get some pretty damaging units. Hammerers, Iron Breakers are absolutely insane. So the Dwarves really have some excellent infantry. Yeah, you can see these Longbeards. They want to engage my swordsmen, but I'm not going to give them that engagement. And now that they're broken, I can start chasing them. So my rockets are still alive, but now Ungrim and his miners here are going to try and chase my rocket troops. And for the sake of the balance bar, I really can't let him kill those rocket troops. And I keep firing at the broken Longbeards, trying to get them to shatter. The Hammerers shattered for me, which is fortunate because there was a decent number of them left. And over here, this Iron Drake is just broken. So I'm going to send in my Empire Captain to clean up this Iron Drake. This is actually probably one of the longest battles I've played in Warhammer up to this point because most of the battles are pretty short. Here comes my Empire Captain. I'm going to hone in on these Iron Drakes and finish them off. Look at him plowing that poor guy over. I love the huge blows that you get from the hero units where they just throw enemy units around. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like the animations in this game. I actually really do. I don't care if these guys are syncing up a one-on-one animation because the mechanics of the game just work so much better without the one-on-one animations. Just the fighting ends up working better. You don't have the weird blobbing and ice skating and clipping and all the other weird stuff that went on in Attila and Rome too. So I really feel like this is a superior mechanic here that they've done. Now, if they could add more one-on-one animations without breaking that, sure, who doesn't like one-on-one animations? But the good mechanics to me are more important. Now, Ungrim's going to be fairly well armored. My crossbows are going to get chased down by him because that's been the case all day long. I think he has something that buffs his speed too. Now, I did bring in my Outriders to start shooting at Ungrim while he had his back turned, and this is going to put him in a conundrum. He's got to choose one target or the other. So my crossbows will shoot him, or my Outriders will shoot him, and he decides to chase the crossbows. I would have chased the Outriders because they have armor piercing, but he can never catch the Outriders, whereas he can catch the crossbowmen, so it probably is a smarter choice. I've got to run away from his miners for a minute, so Ungrim's just going to go chasing crossbowmen. And he will murder these poor saps if he catches up with them. He's going to ask them a couple of questions, like, hey, do you like getting your head split? And does that feel good when I chop your legs off? Oh! Touche, Ungrim, touche. So yeah, anyway, killing Ungrim Ironfist is going to actually be a little bit tricky because he's better than any of the units that I have left, and I'm very low on ammo, like probably not enough to kill Ungrim with my Outriders, and he's caught my last crossbow unit here. So that's not good for me. I actually do have just a few crossbowmen over there, though they are low on ammunition at the moment. They're down to 4 volleys. This one had 9 volleys left, but I do have my rocket batteries back, so this is going to force Ungrim to run. That's kind of cool. Hit the space bar and it gets rid of the foliage. Woo! Disappear, trees. Yeah, so Ungrim's going to be under a rocket barrage. It's not going to do much to him. Rockets aren't very good against armor. They're anti-infantry, but it's just more of a morale thing and stuff like that. But I figure, hey, if I get a stray hit, here it'll work. And Ungrim's going to run behind this little... he's going to go over here and run behind this little orc shrine, or Greenskins shrine. And I'm going to be forced to bring units up to deal with him. So I go ahead and start bringing Karl Franz up and my Empire Captain. And I've got a little bit of a plan. Though at this point in the game, I hadn't really noticed the knockback on Ungrim. So that's something I haven't learned yet. Is that you can use the knockback of your mounted units to kill the ones on foot pretty easily if you have the one-on-one opportunity. And here it is a one-on-one opportunity. So the sole survivor in the Dwarf army is Ungrim Ironfist, and he's back here ticked off, really wants to give people a severe axing. I've got my Outriders. They have a little bit of ammunition left, maybe 1 or 2 volleys. So I'm going to shoot him with everything I've got left just to kind of tear him up a little. And it does do some pretty decent damage to him. I think it pulls him down a couple hundred more hit points. He's down to about like 800 hit points. But I've got to be able to finish him off. So first in the attempt to finish him off is going to be my Empire Captain. So I go ahead and start buffing him up for a charge. And I go ahead and charge in, and I'm going to knock Ungrim flat on his back. Like way back. And at this point I should have retreated, but I just send my Empire Captain in, and all my pistol and all my Outriders saying, yeah, we'll just mob him. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Ungrim starts getting nice splash damage everywhere, so I'm like, I gotta get out of here, else he's gonna end up tilting this battle. So I start trying to retreat all my men, but unfortunately for me, my Empire Captain kind of gets caught up against all these other units, and he is going to flee the battlefield. So he is broken. My swordsmen are about to break, so I go ahead and turn back with that. So now all I've got left is Karl Franz, and my Empire Captain should come back from routing. There he does. And he's hiding intelligently behind this orc shrine. I'm moving up my rockets, but it's going to be a while, and there's only like 2 minutes left for me to kill Ungrim before this becomes a forced draw due to time limit. So I'm kind of down to the last attempts here. I have a few crossbow bolts that I'm shooting into him, and again, very limited ammunition on the crossbows. Ungrim is just really itching for some combat here. So I bring up Karl Franz, and I'm going to feint a charge at him just to get his attention. And then I'm going to actually turn around and charge. I don't know why I feinted. It's at this point when I realized that I could charge and retreat to kill him. So I let my crossbows do some damage. Wham! Eat some Warhammer, Ungrim. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn around, and now I've got it figured out. So at this point, I'm definitely going to win the battle because I realized that I can just knock Ungrim back on his can over and over again until he dies. So Ungrim is screwed at this point because of the knockback from the mass of a cavalry unit. So it's just going to take another charge or two, and he's dead meat. There he goes. So that's the end of the Dwarf army, and what a fitting spot for Ungrim to end up in. Defeated by the Empire. Very close battle. Very well played by my opponent in giving me a hard time. Like, he had a lot of infantry. His army wasn't real flexible, but he was relentless. He took advantage of some of the mistakes I made. Bringing the rockets, for me, actually just helped him a ton. If I would have brought a lot more infantry, it would have been much more difficult for him to defeat me. So the rockets are probably never going to pay off. Unfortunately, I really think, and I was just going to make a couple comments about this real quick. Sorry I sound so nasally, too. My allergies are like really bad the last few days, and I've been all like drugged up on allergy medicine. It'll go away in a little bit. But yeah, if we take a look, I really think that in order to make the artillery more worthwhile, the price needs to be dropped significantly. Maybe not on the steam tank, but even the Luminarch is too expensive for what it does. All of these units need to be dropped in price significantly. Not to encourage artillery camping, but just to encourage artillery being on the field. It creates an interesting dynamic in what is otherwise right now very short, straight to the point melee fights with some magic. And that's typically what you're seeing in Warhammer. And if they would drop the price of artillery enough to make it useful, so like these rockets, these things could cost $700 or 700 gold, and they'd still be overpriced probably. So I would say that, you know, make these things just to be safe 800 or 900 gold, and that would be a lot better. The Hellblaster volley gun, again, drop the price because its range is insignificant. The enemy is going to be able to close the distance before you do a whole lot of significant damage. So drop the price there. Same thing with Great Cannon and Mortar. Drop the price pretty significantly on both these because neither one is very good. Anyway, the Steam Tank, like I said, I'm not sure that I would be saying to drop the price on it. And same thing with the Luminarch is a magic chariot. It's not very good in melee or anything else, so I would say that they probably could drop the price on it a little bit too. I'm not sure. Tell me what you think. Give me your thoughts. HeirofCarthage signing out for now.